Today we have, well, what I'm pretty sure is a root ball. I don't know what kind of root ball. This comes to us from my good friend Dave at Calmwood Creations. It's not like Dave to not write on there what kind of wood it is. He always does, or he at least includes a note telling me what kind of wood it is. So I don't know what it is. It's definitely a very hard wood, and it certainly appears to be a root ball. It's just covered in dirt and crud inside those gaps there, and it's going to be a real chore to turn. I can just look at the wood and see that it's going to be very hard, difficult turning. You can maybe kind of see that it's kind of a natural pedestal down there at the bottom. I don't know that I can keep that, but the idea appeals to me, so I'll certainly try to. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop. Howdy, let's take a closer look at it. The piece is really heavy. I can tell you that. I don't know how heavy it is, but it's heavy. 25 pounds, 30 pounds. It's awkward to try and turn it around here. It's about 10 inches tall and about 10 inches diameter. I think it probably grew this way. I think that's the tree sticking up and that's the roots sticking down. That's the way it looks to me. I don't know if you can tell that going by what you see there, the grain. This is going to be a nice piece once it's all turned and sanded and finished, but it's going to be a chore to get there. I'm going to set this down. Oh boy. So as I said, it has kind of a natural pedestal down here. It's not perfectly centered and it's not perfectly round, but it's pretty close. So I'm going to try and keep that. I like that. That could be a nice looking bowl. And then just round it up this way. Now it's not going to be completely smoothly round like something you might go buy at a houseware store. It's not going to be like that, but I am going to do some turning on the outside. I'm also going to trim off the top. You can see it's cut at an angle, so I want to make the top parallel with the bottom. So I'm going to do that over at the bandsaw. I hope it can get through it, because like I said, it's a very hard wood. I don't know if I'll put a faceplate on there, a faceplate ring, or use a woodworm screw. I don't know yet. We'll find out. So this is a faceplate ring. Takes the place of a faceplate. You just don't have to take your chuck off. It has a dovetail lip in here that meshes with the dovetail on the jaws. So you just put that on there and open the jaws up into it, and you have a good metal to metal contact that ain't going anywhere. And you have 4 screws holding it. But we'll still use tailstock support, of course. And I texted Dave a picture of this and said, what do you think? What do you remember? And he says, it's Photinia root. So I've been at this for a while. I'm gonna go get some coffee and then we'll get to turning. We're gonna be turning at 400 RPM, 5/8 inch bowl gouge, mask and face shield on. It's real pretty wood. You probably can't see it as well as I can, but I'm going to come up here a little bit higher. I didn't know where to start exactly. I knew I needed to take that knot off of there, but I'm going to come up a little higher. Yeah, so far so good. It's going kind of like I hoped it would. It's just a matter of knowing when to stop, you know. Because like I said, we're never going to turn away some of these low spots. They're going to be there. There's a big old void in here, down here. We're not going to turn that stuff away. We're just trying to expose enough of the beautiful wood to give it the impression of a bowl, I guess. The impression of being round without being totally round. I wonder if I can pick the speed up any. About 5/12. Again, it's knowing when to stop, when to keep going. A lot of you are going, well, keep going, Phil. I mean, you can't stop now. Well, I'm not stopping now, but maybe I'm getting close. Yeah, see, that looks like something, doesn't it? That doesn't look like much. That does. But I just can't go in this far. Just take away way too much wood. Probably lose that nice bark inclusion. Lose this. I just can't do that. When you see this all sanded up and finished and contrasted with this all sanded up and finished, it's going to look gorgeous. I don't know if I need more delineation here, like come in further here without taking away any here, you know, bring it in that way. Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to be like, this is the base or the pedestal, and then the bowl comes in above the pedestal. There's not really much separation right now. I'm wondering how to do that. I'm going to get some more coffee and sharpen up. I'll be back. Well, a couple of revelations. Dave just texted me and said, no, it's not Fotini, it's apple root. He found an email that he sent me months ago asking if I wanted this, and he found the picture that I sent him before I started turning, and he matched them up and said, yep, it's apple. So I guess it's apple. Two other revelations for me, since I had time to sit here or stand here and look at this a little bit. I'm going to taper this. Well, first of all, I'm going to round this up just a little bit more. Just a little bit more, not much. Half an inch at most. And then I'm going to taper it in towards the bottom of the bowl, which is right now right here, which will allow me to bring the bottom of the bowl in further to match that taper down there that will be there. And then I'm going to round over this top edge, not a lot, kind of make a, well, not a globe, I don't know, just something that it isn't right now. I'm just working my way through it. I don't really know what I'm doing. I think I picked up the speed. Let's see. 560 RPM. Can't remember where we were, but that's where we are. Let me get my mask and face shield back on. We'll get at it. I'm going to switch to this scraper, see if I can kind of round this opening here a little bit. Yeah, we are getting somewhere now. I'm going to try and pick the speed up a little more. Trying to turn past the vibration. 1000 RPM. By golly gum, I think we're just about ready to sand. Well, no, gosh, I haven't put a tenon on there yet, have I? I'm gonna come down here and put a tenon on it, I guess. I'm going to mark out for a large tenon. Well, this is going to be completely different than I normally do because I just don't have the space to make a recess around the tenon, so I'm just going to come in from the side. I don't like to do it that way, but not much choice. So this will be what it ends up sitting on. I'll have to remove this at the end. So now I'm going to use this diamond point tool to put a dovetail on the side here. That's good. I hope I didn't make it too small. Well, time for sanding. I'm going to start the sanding with my Sandoflex. This is 100 grit. This is the coarsest I've ever used. I usually start at either 120 or 180. I stop at 180, but because this is pretty rough, coarse, it needs something a little heavier. So I'm going to start at 100 grit, but I'm going to use it lightly. I don't want to do any damage. So just lightly smoothing out some of this stuff, and then I'll move to 120 and then 180 and stop there. When I'm done with that, I'll switch to my 2-inch disc starting at 80 grit. I'll have the lathe spinning in reverse for that at 330 RPM. And I'll show you what that looks like as soon as I get my mask on, except that I forgot to tell you that I also made a modification down here at the tenon. I had my divider set for a recess, so it was huge. It was way out here, way too big. And I finally noticed that. I should have noticed it sooner. Anyway, so I turned the tenon down to the right size, and then I made a little groove here for when I go to remove the tenon. This will be the base, and everything else will go up inside slightly concave so that it sets flat. So that's why that little groove is there to remind me to do that. Okay, let's get sanding. So then 120 and 180, and that'll take care of all the unturned parts, all these voids and grooves and bark inclusions and whatnot. And that's what that looks like. I'll bring you back here in a bit and we'll put some probably sanding sealer on there. See you in a bit. I wasn't really sure we were ever going to get to this point. This is day 2, and I didn't do any sanding last night. Too late and I was too tired. So I came out here this morning. I've been sanding on it ever since. There's just a lot to do on something like this. Like inside here, there were all kinds of little twigs that I had to pull on with pliers and then cut off with a knife. And I actually sanded with my Sandoflex, first time ever, I used up to 240 grit instead of stopping at 180 like I always do to get in all of these voids and bark inclusions and whatnot. It's really hard on the old body to just stand in one spot like this and sand and sand and sand with your arm extended out and the weight of the drills that I use. So I did take a couple of breaks, but it's smooth, I can tell you that. It's very smooth and very beautiful. I hope you agree. This is sanding sealer I'm applying, shellac based sanding sealer. It looks like it's going to take 2 coats of this and then 2 coats of shellac, as I usually do. I mean, a piece of wood like this, it just deserves that extra effort. It deserves a little respect, I think. Look at that. It's absolutely gorgeous. If I didn't know this was a root ball, I would say it was a burl. There's going to be a lot of brushing going on. Just about ready for that. I've got mixed feelings about this area here. It's going to be a hole, a void in the side of the bowl here, down to here. Otherwise it'd be a real small bowl. So you're going to see into the bowl from that area. So on with some brushing. This is going to make a lot of difference, as you can see already, I think. Going to really highlight that lighter color wood. My voice sounds a little tired to me. I'm sure it probably sounds the same way to you. Sorry about that. I've probably been sanding for, well, almost 6 hours. See, doesn't that really bring it out? Yes, it does. Yes, you're right. I'm just going to do a little bit of this at a time because it's kind of warm now. It was cool earlier. I had on 2 shirts. Now I got 1 shirt and the fan blowing on me. Well, you're probably getting tired of watching this, so I'll let you go. So I'll bring you back in a bit, and we'll start working on the, well, in a bit tomorrow. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be out here tomorrow on the 4th. I've got a family gathering I'm supposed to go to. I might get another coat on it before I do that, I guess. Anyway, I'll see you when I see you. You're not going to want to miss the end of this, I can tell you. It's going to be just gorgeous. It already is. Okay, see you when I see you. I've turned the piece around and have the tenon mounted up in the chuck. I've got a beautiful finish on the outside. I can't believe how wonderful it is. This piece is still quite heavy, and it extends out from the chuck about almost 8 inches. So I need tailstock support. But the problem is with the tailstock and a gouge, I can't get there from here. I need to be over here, and I can't do that. So I'll be using this carbide tool because this allows me just to go straight in, and it doesn't get in the way of the handle. I don't like to use carbide. I'd far rather use my gouge, but until I get this mostly hollowed out, I'm going to be using carbide, and then I'll switch to the gouge to get a smoother cut and to feel better about myself. We're going to be turning at 1150 RPM, number 1 hollower, mask and face shield on. We need to see where we are here. I told you this was going to be an opening, but there's also, this is a depression out here. You probably can't see it, but maybe you remember from the outside, this is a depression, and I don't want to come through the side, clear down here. And there's also a big bark inclusion right here that goes in a good 1/2 inch, and I don't necessarily want a hole there either. But I don't want really thick walls, so. And I'd kind of like to keep this piece here, but you can see we're getting real close to it. I'll just take it easy. For keeping that piece, I'll come out another 1/2 inch and see how that does. Well, I haven't quite touched it. I'm just right at it. What I can do to make the opening look larger is to round over this side here, or kind of bevel it in from the outside in. That'll give it the impression of being thinner walled. Well, you know, I'm actually pretty happy with the wall thickness, at least how it looks. I can still thin it down just a little bit more out this way. Yeah, see, that's pretty good. My depression is out here. Feels like about 3/8 of an inch, but it gets deeper as it goes down there a little bit. I'll tell you what, carbide makes such a freaking mess. I turn around here and it's back behind me 8 feet. I'll tell you what, this is a little bit scary. I don't know if you can see, that's got a huge crack in it here. It's going to go away anyway, but I just don't want it going away when I'm not looking, you know what I mean? I'm just about reaching the maximum reach with this thing, which means I'm going to have to get rid of the tailstock here pretty soon. Now I can get in there and do something. Don't know what, but something. Well, I've still got a long ways to go here. I'm just barely past the halfway mark. You see this bark inclusion right here? That's a real deep depression on the outside. I can see light through there, just barely. It's just too thick here, so I'm gonna have to take some away. We're probably gonna have a line that's open here to the outside. I'm not sure what this is all about. I think it's okay. There's a couple of bark inclusions out here as well, but I don't think they pose any problem. They're not all that deep. I'm gonna go ahead and stick with the carbide because I've got so much further to go, and it's working pretty well. Not great, but pretty well. So I'm gonna stick with that, and we're still at whatever RPM I said earlier, 1450 or no, 1150, that's what it was. I gotta tell you, there's a guy over here. That wasn't it. That wasn't nearly as loud as it can get. I swear he's setting off dynamite. And he started this morning at 7:30. Well, actually, he started a few days ago, but the first one I heard today was about 7:30 this morning. And every time he does it, he's I don't know how far he is, 4 or 5 houses from me. There's a housing development down below my property here. There's a car alarm that keeps going off. Every time this one particular guy sets off these pieces of dynamite, it's gotta be. I don't know what else it would be. The car alarm goes off, but you just heard a big boom, and that wasn't anywhere near as big. And I'm telling you this because I'm trying to be careful, because I was out. Oh, there you go. There goes the car alarm. Can you hear it? That car alarm's about a block away. I'm telling you this because I was out here doing something. Oh, I was polishing this, and I heard the big boom, and I jumped, and I don't want to be jumping while I'm doing this. So hopefully now, he doesn't do it often, maybe every couple of hours. Anyway, so I'm wary of that while I'm doing this. The 4th of July in Bonnie Lake, Washington. what do you know? Time for sanding. I'm starting at 80 grit, working up through 400. I've got the lathe spinning forward at 380 RPM. I'll bring you back here in a bit and we'll put some sanding sealer in there. See you in a bit. That was a lot of work. Just a lot. So many little flaws, little cracks, little crevices that the sanding disc can't get into. So I had to take a little piece and go back and forth around all these little sharp points in between here. All these little things and the cracks and whatnot. Took a long time, but it looks like it might be worth the effort. And it's warm out today. It's 93 right now, 3:30 in the afternoon, so we'll probably get another couple of degrees. So this is going to dry quickly, so I'm going to have to work quickly. And I'm going to have to brush into all these little cracks and crevices and whatnot. And a lot of these, you can see light through from the other side like this one. So I don't want it down while I'm putting this in. I don't want it to run right through to the other finished side. None of them are big voids like this, but they do let light through. Without light, you probably couldn't tell. And then this kind of grain here, I don't know what to call it. It's just in the wood, nothing I did. You got to wipe around wherever you use the brush real quick before it sets up, because it'll leave a line of finish that's hard to remove. Isn't that pretty wood? Holy cow, that's pretty. Wow. Wow. Sometimes you just get lucky, you know? Okay, well that's kind of what it's going to look like. This is what I'll be doing. That's the first of 2 coats of sanding sealer and then 2 coats of shellac. I'll bring it back and we'll take the tenon off, and that's going to be somewhat problematic, I'm afraid. See you in a bit. The time has come to remove the tenon. I've mounted a block of wood up in my chuck. I'm going to put a non-slip cloth over that and bring up the relatively still heavy bowl. Not that heavy, but awkward. And bring up my tailstock. I still have the center hole there for reference, so I can just drive my live center into that. Apply a little pressure. Bring up the tool rest. We'll spin the piece up, see if it's running anywhere near true. Yeah, what do you know? Yay. A little more pressure. Turn the speed up to, well, let's see, about 540 RPM. I'm going to use a 1/2 inch bowl gouge and commence removing that tenon. Gee, I gotta go sharpen up. Just checking for clearance, and we barely have clearance. Still a little bit raised in the center there. Okay, that's small enough for that gouge. I'm going to switch to a 3/8 and I'm going to raise my tool rest just a smidgen. Well, that's not going to work. I'm going to switch to a swept back bowl gouge so that I can get in there closer. And because that is end grain, I'm going to turn the speed down to about 300 RPM. Now I'm going to turn the speed down to about 200 RPM, and I'm going to apply the bevel of the gouge against the bottom of the bowl. Pressure towards the headstock. Right hand on the gouge, left hand on the switch, and when the little nub stops turning or breaks away, we'll know we're through. Now I'll just take this over here to the workbench, sand that up, sign it, get it finished, and I'll be right back. Don't forget to watch for the before and after shots of this piece. If you'd share the video, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Well, here it is. One apple root ball bowl, pedestal bowl in the books. I love that part right there. I love all of it. This was a lot of work. Look at all that just beautiful grain. I counted 4 places where light shows through these little gaps and whatnot. So I couldn't have really gone much thinner, but I don't think it needs to be any thinner. Look at that. Look at the grain in there. Now this one doesn't have any chatoyance. That's kind of a nice change. Had a run on chatoyance lately, but it sure is pretty. There's the bottom all finished up. Smooth as silk. The whole thing is smooth. And it's just a pleasure to run your hands through it and let your fingers touch all the different natural aspects of it from apple root. Do you like the pedestal? I don't think I've done more than, I don't know, 3 or 4 with pedestals. But this one was just there already, wasn't it? Didn't have to do much. See, that looks like burl grain there. Sure hope you like it. I sure do. One of my new favorites. Let me know what you think. Thank you, Dave from Calmwood Creations, for sending this along for all to enjoy. If you like this video, thumbs up please. I'd sure appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking your time to spend with me today. I really appreciate that as well. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly. I truly appreciate that. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.